What's going on, everybody? This is Marcus, and I'm here with my lovely wife,
Shira.
And welcome to another episode of the Black Married Debt Free Podcast. It's a little chill vibe we got going on here, Shira. How you feel about the new vibes?
Yes, it is very chill. It is so chill that Marcus did not want to expend any extra energy in getting me a mic stand.
No.
So we are, as he called it, 106 and parking.
Yes.
You know where the host used to have to hold the microphone. So that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, we do have mic stands, Shira. It's called arms. So we're going to do it that way. But Shira, before we get started, man, I think people are probably wondering, like, hey, what's that red thing over there?
Yes.
Well, this is our sponsor of today's podcast, Coldest Water Bottle. This water bottle keeps your colds cold for 36 hours and keeps your warms warm for 12 hours. So shout out to them for sponsoring this podcast, man. Yeah, get you one. The link to your Coldest Water Bottle will be in the description below. But Shire, let's get right to it, because we had a really good podcast a couple weeks ago when we were talking about marriage, right?
Yes.
And marriage is definitely a part of what we talk about here. I mean, there's no surprise there. But one of the things that we were talking about is marriage dead, man? You know what I mean? Is marriage dead?
Right. And I feel that we have even had that conversation on this podcast before. But as Marcus was sharing, we were doing a podcast interview with another couple. And one of the questions that they asked us was quite interesting.
Yeah.
And I think also our response to the question was quite interesting as well. And so the question was really around, how do you know that you've married the right person?
Right. Yep, that was the question. And Shire had a very unique response, man. And Shire, you want to share that with our listeners now?
I will. Okay, so let me know what you think about this. So when I was in high school, there was like this Christian club, okay? And so I remember going into the class, the club one day, to kind of scope it out.
Right.
And they just happened to be talking about marriage. And so one of the students asked the teacher, like, how do you know if you've found the right one, or how do you know if you've actually married the right person?
Kind of like your soulmate.
Yes, like a soulmate, that's kind of the idea or the notion that we generally use in our culture. And the teacher said, when you get married, that person becomes the right person for you, or in essence, that is your soulmate.
Right.
Like, that's the one. So that's how you know.
Right.
And so I shared what that teacher had shared. And over the years, I have come to kind of adopt that philosophy as well. And I think my reasoning for that is, if I commit to someone in a marriage and I know that this is the one,
Right.
then it's harder for me to rationalize a way out.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think that's kind of my thinking. I mean, what are your thoughts
I like
on,
that.
and I have another story I could share too, but what are your thoughts on how do you know that you've married the right person?
Man, I mean, this is just such a deep conversation, and very, I love this conversation. I think that's 100% right. Shire, allow me to play devil's advocate for a second.
Please do.
What if an individual is like, okay, I'm committed to staying in this thing. I'm committed to making it work no matter what. But my spouse, what if the other person doesn't feel the same way or share that same thought? But I think to what you're saying, if two people, hey, I mean, look at arranged marriages. These are marriages that are put together by two families, and these marriages last long, and so I definitely believe that that's true. It's not, it's more if two people commit to staying together, it can be done. And,
right.
The person you marry is your soulmate. You know what I mean? Because you guys are both committed.
Well, no, you told me you were gonna play devil's advocate.
So my
and then
devil's advocate.
You circle back and start,
Yeah.
But one word that I picked up on that you said was feel. Let me tell you, my feelings lie to me on a monthly basis, and I have to acknowledge that. Yeah. I don't know if you got that, but
I like that.
But I think what we feel, like, our feelings change.
Yeah.
How we feel can change from moment to moment. I mean, just think about how you start your day. For me, I really love coffee. Okay. So I might wake up feeling one way, but after I've had my cup of coffee, like I'm feeling another type of way.
Man.
So I think that when we use the word, I'm in a relationship and I feel,
Right.
you have to like hit the pause button right there and just, I don't know, I want to say think more deeply. I don't even know how to, but
it's about it's more about action. It's more about vows and less about how you're feeling, right? And I think we're really gonna drive that point home as we go forward in this podcast, Shire.
Okay, you're just giving me so much to say, Marcus.
Well, come on with it. We got time.
Okay, because you said vows, and I know that you and I have had this conversation before. A vow
isn't about feeling, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
That's not well.
But go ahead, Shire.
Well, yeah, but let me just say this: a lot of people advocate for premarital counseling.
Yes.
And I think that's great. I can't say that I got a whole lot out of it. Let's just be honest. One of them was a relative.
Yeah. I say, before you go,
yeah.
Seek professional help, not necessarily your pastor, or, let your pastor be a pastor and let a licensed therapist be a licensed therapist or counselor, right? Okay.
I mean, not to say your pastor couldn't do it, but I feel.
Let's not overload them, though. We're crossing disciplines now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
but go ahead.
I mean, but I feel what you're saying, and I totally agree. Just anyway. But what you said was vows, and what we did, we had someone tape our wedding, and then when we got the DVD, we watched it. And I was listening to the vows, and I was like, I agreed to that.
Right.
Because in the premarital counseling, I didn't get a copy of those vows.
Yeah.
No one went over those vows with me. Like, like if you are, you receive a contract, they'll say, go to a lawyer and make sure you understand the contents of the contract. When it came to the vows, I mean, I didn't have them on a piece of paper. I heard them on television. Yeah. And so here we are in this church. What am I going to do? Not, I'm
going to say yes to whatever.
Exactly.
At that point, right?
But we were fully committed.
Yeah.
But, we just didn't get a copy of it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, what?
Yeah, Shire. I mean, that's a great point. I remember hearing the vows and thinking, man, this is some heavy stuff, man. You know what I mean? And I think people love the idea of marriage. I'm going to just be with this person I love. And a lot of that is based on what? The feeling piece again. Mm-hmm. I feel like I just want to be with them. And then we were in that cloudy haze of love. And then we had a moment of clarity when we actually heard those vows. We're still in the love mode. We're like,
right.
To ourselves, we're thinking, man, this is deeper than feeling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I didn't even have the wisdom to think that in the moment. For me, it was like watching it after, and it's like, huh?
Yeah.
I should have got a copy of that in writing. I'm not blaming anyone.
Yeah.
But it's like, you need a copy of that in writing, and and now a lot of people are writing their own vows. It's like, scrap those, sickness and health. Like the vows that people are writing now is like, I'm gonna ride for you.
Yeah.
And you gonna ride for me, and I'm just gonna always be your friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, the traditional vows, those are the hardcore vows.
Yeah.
And I'm not throwing shade to anyone that said they want to write their own vows. Right. But my goodness, them traditional vows. I mean,
yeah. Well, Shire, let's talk about it, man. I mean, Bill and Melinda Gates divorced recently. We're seeing the uptick in divorces due to the 2020 pandemic quarantine. Folks getting on each other's nerves. Even before that, divorce rate was, I think, on the high side of 50%, and that's divorce rates, and even we're church people. Even in the church, the divorce rate was pretty close.
Yeah.
So we know that divorce is a thing, right? And marriages they're literally, by the numbers, a 50-50 shot. They may work, they may not work.
I don't look at it that. I think it's dangerous to look at it that way, Marcus, because
that's what the numbers say. You know what I mean?
Okay, but when you structure it that way, it sounds like a gamble.
No, so I don't want to say it's a gamble.
Every relationship has risk.
Yes.
So, it may work out, But, I mean, going back to our original question, like, how do you know that this is the one?
Well, let's talk about it.
Okay.
I don't know how you know that it's the one. I think you answered the question that we had on the podcast so good, because I think what we're seeing is a lot of people are looking at these statistics. They're seeing these numbers and they're saying, "Man, I want to make sure. I want to make sure. I want to make sure."
Yes.
And then they're just not marrying.
Right. They're not marrying. They're doing analysis paralysis. They are not even giving relationships a chance.
Right.
Like, you're not even giving it a fighting chance.
Right.
You know, they're coming up with these absurd checklists. It's like, I mean, adding is that person the one to the checklist with all your other stuff.
Right. He
It's
got to
just-
be this tall. He got to make this amount, and he's got to be the. He's got to be the one. You know what I mean?
Men have lists too, though, don't they?
That's a list.
I don't
That's a
know.
list.
You know, so
And it's like the older you get, you know, the more stark. What's the word I'm looking for? The more staunch you are about your list, right? You want your list to be just so, because hey, man, you're aging, you're getting it on your own, and you have a very unique palate, right? And you just don't want to taste just anything. So that's what we're seeing. And so we're seeing, I believe it's around 70% of African American millennials are not married, right? Around 72%. I forget the statistic exactly, but
it was high.
so let's talk about it, Shire. Divorce, just not marrying in general. What are people missing? Let's take them through the phases of marriage.
Yeah.
Are you ready to do that now, Shire? Did you have more before we get into
Yeah.
Because this is what y'all been waiting for.
Because I think marriage has stages, marriage has seasons.
Yes.
And in every other area of life, it's acceptable. Like, you have a child, they start off as a baby, they start growing, they change, they don't like things, now they do like things. And at your workplace, your job might start off looking like one thing, or you thought it was going to look one way, but it ended up looking another way. And these are changes that we find acceptable, and we deal with it appropriately. But in marriage, when we encounter change or things become uncomfortable, then sometimes we're ready to go or hit the highway. So I think it's important to acknowledge that marriage has stages, and I think we're gonna take the next few minutes to just go through a framework. But like, if you were to go online and look up stages of marriage, you're gonna find all kind of stuff. But there was one like really simple framework that really resonated with us.
So we feel, and we agree with this, that marriage is broken up into 3 phases.
Well, we're going to talk about these 3 phases. I'm not endorsing them.
We're not endorsing them, but I do believe this to be true.
Okay.
In my own experience, right?
Okay.
And I think, and this is not to say, hey, let's keep it 1,000. Me and Shire get on each other's nerves quite often.
Very often.
I got on her nerves this weekend.
You did, and we don't even want to go there.
Right. So this is a work in progress. So we're not at the what is considered the last best stage. We're not there yet. We're getting there, right?
Right.
So we know that. So let's talk about it. Phase 1.
What's the type of relationship?
Lovers.
Yes, you get the googly
Got
eyes.
the googly eyes.
The butterflies.
Yes. You're in the lover stage, right? That's the type of relationship you have. The type of attitude you have toward each other is romantic.
Very romantic.
Oh man, butterflies, man. I remember, just thinking, man, just the idea of taking you out on a Friday was just like, oh, this is gonna be romantic.
Look, I was gonna say kissing in the car.
Kissing in the car.
People do
Make-out
more
sessions.
than that nowadays.
You know
but
what I mean?
Yeah.
We had our fair share, but that's not that type of podcast.
Right.
But
and your commitment is really untried.
untried.
You haven't gone through any big major tests.
Right.
Or
right.
Trials or tribulations.
Yes.
Like, it's still very rosy. The relationship many times is still very new. You haven't had much conflict.
Right.
How you see your mate is like, this is the perfect person. Like,
Yes.
they're the full pack. I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
Look,
thank
they
you,
are the
Sarah.
full package. They look good. That they're with you intellectually.
Right.
You have this really idealized
Yeah.
view of your mate.
And when it comes to conflict, you avoid it. It's avoided. Each person is trying their best. It's okay.
Right.
I'm not, it's no big deal.
Right. And it's usually in this stage, I think, that people are considering marriage.
Yes.
It's like, I found the one.
Yes.
I found the one.
Yes.
I mean, some people nowadays, they go decades and decades before not decades and decades, but they'll go a long time before getting engaged,
Right.
you know, but we dated how many months before we were engaged?
We dated for 7 months. Now we were good
No,
friends for years.
I thought we
were good friends for
Oh,
about
yeah,
2
yeah, yeah.
years. I asked you to marry me. 7 months later, we were married. So our engagement was 7 months.
Yes, but I thought we were engaged within 3 months, and then we were married in 7.
So you're talking about, okay, so we got different phases. We got the friendship phase, we got the going out and dating phase,
See, I
then we
don't
have
remember.
engagement phase, and we got marriage. So going out and dating was very short because we had already built a bond through the friendship stage. So enough about us.
Okay.
Sorry, did we say idealized? The view of your mate is idealized. I thought Shira, and I'm not going to get too vulgar. I thought Shira didn't pass gas. You know what I mean? I thought Shira was just then she could do no wrong. I mean,
Marcus, I mean, okay, we were super young.
yeah, I just thought she was just an angel, like nothing, like perfect in every way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my thought of her, and I'm sure she would idolize about me. Hey, this guy, tall, dark, and handsome. I mean, go ahead, child. I don't want to steal what you thought about me.
Yeah, I mean, I still think a lot of the same things, but now, you know. But
Yes.
yeah, we definitely went through that first stage, and you know, our engagement and marriage, all of that happened, you
Yeah.
know, like a year's time. So it went by very quickly for us. And yeah.
And so your average marriage starts off in this phase. You might be here definitely during the engagement, during the first year or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why people get married expecting phase 1.
Yes.
Everything we just listed.
That's the expectation that, you know, they're going to always be your lover. And
Yep.
yeah, so perfect.
If you knew that stage 2 was on the horizon, you probably wouldn't get married, right? And stage 2 is where a lot of people call it quits.
What happens in stage 2?
Stage 2, the type of relationship you have is more of an antagonist.
You find yourself at odds sometimes.
It's a lot of head bumping. It's a lot of, I thought you were going to put the money in this account. Why didn't you, I thought you were going to do that. No, I told you, it's a lot of that head bumping, just disagree on some of everything, right?
Right, especially if you don't live together before you're married.
Exactly. You're learning each other.
know.
You're learning how each other lives. You've lived this way for 20 plus years. This person's lived that way for 20 plus years. And you guys are coming together. So you're going to
Right.
bump heads, man.
Right. You know, I'm just thinking of like toothpaste. We can't share toothpaste.
No.
You have your own toothpaste and I have my own toothpaste because we like two different toothpaste because we can't decide in the store, on one.
Sure. Temperature is something that you're going to bump heads on. Women, for whatever reason, love it one way and men love it another way.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, definitely. And so your attitude towards your mate starts to become resentful. You know what?
And maybe
Man.
not over toothpaste in the air, but
Oh, I'm
over
gonna
time.
give you an example, shall I?
Right. Okay.
I really want to do X, Y, and Z with my life, and I got married. What would it be like if I never did? I would have been able to do this and graduate, and I was gonna play basketball. I was going, man, I should have.
I mean,
but then I messed around and fell in love.
Right.
You start getting resentful.
If you leave that first stage,
Yeah.
you start, thinking about, maybe what your life could have been
Let-
or what your life could be if you were no longer married.
Especially Shire when you're bumping heads and you having some conflict, you really start thinking, well, what if? Man, did I do the right thing? So that's the one stage, Shire. And then what's the next stage?
You're uncertain. You're uncertain about the marriage. You're
Strength of the
uncertain.
commitment is uncertain. for
Yeah,
sure.
you're uncertain if this is gonna work out.
Yeah. Tell a story, Shire.
I
Come
know,
on.
and you're gonna put me on the spot, ain't you? Okay.
I think it's funny, but
It's not funny. I mean, okay. Hopefully we're thinking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So when Marcus and I would have disagreements, I would be like, this is the big one. Like, this is the last, this
is
argument,
it.
this is it. So I'm just going to say everything that I have to say because this is it. And that would just mean I would have a lot, to apologize for after. But, we grew up having different backgrounds. Like, Marcus' parents were married. My parents were not. And so, and a lot of people in my family are not married. I just did not see a lot of marriages.
right.
And so when we argued, Marcus knew that married people argue. It's normal. You reconcile. You come back together. Me, I'm
Healthy
just like,
disagreements. Nah.
this is over.
Right.
Because it's all that I've seen, you
Right.
know? So for me, it's funny that it would take so long for me to become more grounded, but it's only recently that I'm not thinking this is the big one.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense, Shire. It makes a lot of sense because I would see my parents argue, but they still were together they're still together to this day.
Right.
But they would bump heads, and then I was just like, but they'll
make up.
Yeah, they'll be cool. So I saw the end, whereas Shire never saw the end.
No, I thought it was the end.
Right.
I thought it was the end.
Right.
You know,
So it becomes uncertain.
Yeah,
For sure.
and really, like, it's that stage too that you start to gain all these new awarenesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are things that arose in me. I had no idea that those things were there
Right.
until we were actually married. It never surfaced in the dating relationship. It definitely didn't surface in stage 1, but in stage 2, it's these limiting beliefs. It's the just not seeing a successful marriage. Sometimes even the tone of your voice, just hearing a
Hearing
man's
a deep voice, Shire would be like, why you talking so loud? I'm like,
You just telling all my business today. This is therapy. Okay, this is therapy for me today. You know, so just the bass in your voice, like telling the kids to clean up, you know, it's like it almost startles me.
Right.
I just never heard that in the home.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that makes sense,
So in stage 2, you have these insecurities, things that are rising in you, and really you think your spouse has a problem, but sometimes it's really coming from yourself. And so
because I definitely would blame a lot of stuff. See, it's Shire, but yeah, you're right. A lot of it was just me not seeing the bigger picture, and it's really me. You know what I mean? And then when it feels like it's continual. It feels like the conflict is just. It's always something. It's always something. Hey, man. As soon as we, kind of make up, there's another debate around the corner. You know, that's what it feels like when you're in phase 2.
Yeah, and then lastly, they have the view of your mate is disapproval. Like,
you ever feel disapproval? Come on, Shire. Be honest with the people here. I mean, they want to know.
Yes, and I know you felt it with me.
Right.
I felt it with myself.
Right.
And then you're just like, what we're saying, we're painting this picture of us in stage 2.
Because that's where a lot of people fall off.
We're not falling off.
No, but
I'm saying that it's a normal stage.
Yes.
And that if you feel disappointed in your spouse, if you feel a little bit resentful, it's normal.
It's normal.
And you have to find a way to work through it. And as you were saying, that's where people, they fall off.
Yep.
They file for divorce.
Yep. Irreconcilable differences.
It ain't working out.
Start one person seeks the attention of another outside of the marriage, and then you have infidelity. Now you have that issue. So you want to get through phase 2. If you can get through phase 2, we're going into phase 3, and this to me is what marriage is. Me seeing marriages, my aunts, my parents, my grandparents. This is what marriage was to me. Right? It's not number 1 always. There's a season of number 1, there's a season of number 2, but if you can get to 3, this is how you have. If you can get to 3,
I just like how you said that.
This is when you see the long-standing marriages, because these people have perspective and these people know what marriage is really about.
Right.
So the type of relationship you have in stage 3 is partnership.
Yes, they're
we
partners.
Are partners.
So if you look at the progression, we went from lovers to antagonists into partnership.
Yes.
We're partners.
Yeah, I think that's key, man, because phase 1, you're trying to figure out how's this thing gonna work. Am I the man? Do I just tell her what to do? Am I, am Shire, and your natural reaction is, excuse me, you know what I mean? So you got a lot of bumping heads, and then you get to phase 3, you're like, you know what? We're partners. Mm-hmm. That's how this thing's gonna work.
Right, we're figuring this out.
We're figuring this thing out
together.
I do this well, she does this well, and together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What does the attitude become, Shire, in phase 3?
It's more harmonious.
Harmony.
It's like, okay, I'm starting to understand him. He's starting to understand me.
You understanding the stuff you don't like about the person.
Yes.
You like, you know what? That's what makes Shira Shira. That's what makes Marcus Marcus.
Right.
He does this. He just
Right.
gonna do this.
Right. And so this section is, the category is the attitude. And then you can also apply this to like your finances. So like your attitude towards money. I think we talk about this a lot, that you're a risk taker,
Right.
and I'm a security seeker. And so I can have a harmonious attitude with the fact that my husband is a risk taker, because I understand, and it's been over time that we've made this progress in our relationship.
Shire, a word that we used within the last, we've been married 14 years, and you used this word probably 2 years ago, and you never used this word for 12 years. It was a lot of, we could never rest upon this. And when you say harmonious, it brings it to my attention. Agree to disagree. You remember when you actually said that about a debate we had? You said, well, we just need to agree to disagree. I was like, we can do that?
Right, because
because you want the other person to just get you all the time.
Exactly.
Until you get to your face, you're like, you know what? Agree to disagree. It's still we still good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you can do that in a harmonious way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's what harmony is in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Agreeing to disagree.
And it happens, it didn't happen that often early in our relationship, because it's like we were able to sway each other, one way or the other, and we'd be on this, we would be of the same opinion. But now it's just like, I hear what you're saying, you hear what I'm saying, and let's just leave it there.
It's almost a weird thing. You're like, but there's no, in music, it's called not resonance, but
Dissonance?
resolve.
Oh, resolve. Okay.
There's no, like, when you hit a sus, I'm giving you guys a little music theory here. When you hit a sus chord, it's sus into resolve. And so when you agree to disagree, you're hitting that sus and you're just walking away. And it's kind of like, oh, that's weird. Think of the national anthem. And a home of the, and you just walk off. You don't say brave. And he's like, but it didn't end. But no, it's okay. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and another analogy is that things have to be black or white, wrong or right. There are just some instances, well, there is no right, there is no wrong.
Yeah.
It just is.
Just is. I like that.
It just is.
Shire, in phase 3, this is what I really like. The strength of your commitment is certain.
So for certain, I know that this disagreement is not going to end our relationship.
Exactly.
So I don't need to add any colorful language or say anything that I'm going to regret, because I feel certain, I feel grounded in the commitment.
Or if the other person does go off the deep end, you're certain that they're going to come back.
Let them go.
Let them go.
Don't go there with them. Don't go there with them.
And that's
hard.
That's hard to do. But when you're in that phase 3, you kind of getting that muscle is getting worked out a little bit, because you done been through a lot of bumping heads. So you kind of know, you know what? They just having a moment. It's going to be all good.
Right.
And then when you come to conflict, it's resolved.
It's resolved.
It's resolved. And a resolution may be leaving it alone, like Shira said, or a resolution may be, you know what, I was wrong. I apologize, So there's more resolution in phase 3. Because you want to move on.
Well, resolve doesn't necessarily, to me, it doesn't mean sweep it under the rug. Okay, because when you sweep something under the rug, the dirt is still there. Okay, it is still there.
Facts.
So if you walk away, then you've made a conscious decision that I'm at peace with it being as it is.
Right.
So I think that there's a distinction there with resolve.
Right. And Shire, so the view of your mate in the last one, phase 3, the view of your mate is acceptance. What does that mean to you? Because I want to hear what you think about that.
I think that acceptance is something that we all crave as human beings, to be loved and to be accepted.
Right.
Like, OMG. That is what we all want. So acceptance to me is, I accept you. In your entirety.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
Yeah. And I feel that. I feel that that my partner accepts me. I don't have to worry about them looking elsewhere. You know what I mean? In this mode. You feel like
they're still human. I hope you don't look elsewhere.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, with the intent of, he might mess around and leave, or she might mess around and go get Tay Diggs.
Well, they
I
still
don't
can
have to think
accept
about
you.
that.
Okay, I think of it a little bit differently.
Okay.
I think, so I think acceptance is you accept the person,
Okay. As they are.
as they are and as they will become. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Oh, because that accepts the change.
Yes.
That is acknowledgement that you might not be the same person in your 20s as you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s.
Right.
But we're growing together,
Man.
and I'm accepting who you are and who you're growing. Who you are going to be, who the person that you're becoming. I guess
Right.
I'm trying to say.
Right.
And one of the interesting things that I want to just point out is that I could be feeling very certain and very grounded in my relationship, and the partner could be in a total different stage.
Yes.
So I think that could be, kind of tricky.
Yes, the perfection and where we're not at yet is for both of us to be in stage 3 and agree on and be in all those categories at
partners.
once. You might not be there. You may be in the type of relationship, you may be on partners. But then when it comes to attitude, you may still be in the romantic stage. You may not have went through the resentfulness and the harmonious. So this chart and we should somehow kind of post this on our IG stories or
Yeah,
something like
do that for you all.
Yeah, so this chart, it could be, I may be here in this one and on stage 2 here and on stage 1 here. But the goal is to both of you guys be all the way in stage 3 at some point. And that's when you're going to see success in your marriage. I believe that.
Right. And notice that it's stages of marriage. This is not stages of dating. So we don't, so I would not recommend dating someone and seeing if you can go through all of these stages. You know what I'm saying?
Go through it. You got to go through it.
This is these are the stages of marriage.
You cannot skip all the way to we all stage 3. You may be able to skip straight to partners. Maybe you guys just got it like that. But some of those other ones, you're gonna have to go through some rough patches there, man. It's just
some things don't surface until you're married.
Yes.
So, and that has just been my experience. But yeah, the stages of marriage.
Stages of marriage. We hope you guys enjoyed this
I
one,
do.
man.
Okay, I have one story.
Let's close it out, Shire. Come on now.
I don't even know if this is a closer. I hope this doesn't open up anything else. But I remember when we were engaged, and I went to your parents' house, and your dad looked at me and he asked me, "How did I know that you were the one?"
Was it that or just like you love him?
And I was like, "Yeah."
How you know?
Yes.
And he was just like, I don't know. I just do.
I didn't say I don't know.
What'd you say, Shire?
Man, like that question he could have been a good marriage counselor. But he was like, "How do you know?" And I said, "My heart."
You did say
that. I was like, "My heart." And, I was 21,
This is how I took it. I was a knucklehead growing up. So I think he was just shocked. He was kind of like, you love my son? Like, it was one of those, like, you love him? Like, what does he do? Like, how do you know you love? Like, more shocked than anything. But you took it differently. You know what I mean? So,
oh my Lord. No one asked me that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a valid and a legit question. Like, how do you know? And the thing about it is, you can only know so much. You can only know so much.
Man.
But in marriage, you start that journey of marriage. You will go through these stages. The key is knowing that this is a stage and that, better days are on the horizon. If you take the steps to make, positive progress.
And waiting, the longer you wait, you're never going to find someone where you can walk into stage 3 with them because you waited extra long and you were very specific in your taste. That's not going to get you to stage 3.
No.
Just because you wait longer.
Yeah, because this is the stages of marriage, not the stages of dating.
Exactly. You're still going to have to start at 1. You got to start from scratch, like that episode of Martin. Where's scratch? Way over there. And so you're going to have to start from scratch. So the longer you wait, the longer you and your partner wait, you're still going to have to start from the beginning.
You're still going to have to start from the beginning.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you there.
Something to think about.
I don't know. I know we have some interesting views.
Yeah.
We do.
We're millennials with a traditional mindset towards marriage. I would like to say that.
The traditional mindset that has proven to work.
Yeah.
For the most part,
yeah,
I would say.
And the black family, man, is an endangered species, right? We need to We need more black families. That's how communities thrive. They don't thrive with everyone being single and just getting their bag. I mean, that's cool, but you're not going to build community that way. If everybody from here on decides I'm not going to be married, I'm just going to be single, well, eventually your community will die off. That's just real. That's just reality. And if we look at the population percentages, African Americans are the only group that is dwindling in population in the United States of America. Hispanic community growing. Caucasian community has always been huge. Different. Asian community growing. And if you look at the statistics, the black community they were at 13%. Now they're at 12 point something, and they're expected to continue to dip. So, and we can get into why that is. We're not going there. But one thing we can do is get successful black families that have successful children, and they have children, and they have children, and then
I will say a counterpoint, because
let's go.
Marriage doesn't determine what family is. I think there are many definitions of families, but I think what you're speaking to is the importance of marriage in our community.
That's very important. It's very important. So, we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast.
Very interesting.
Nice little vibe we got going on.
This is really therapeutic for me.
Oh, well, that's good.
I just felt like I let out a lot of stuff. So
that's good.
Don't y'all be talking behind my back.
But what you can do is you can rate this podcast 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening, because that helps the algorithm get our podcast out to others. So please, don't just listen. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that 5-star review. 5 stars only, by the way. And if you like the gear me and Shire are wearing, man, you can get this gear at the description below. It's black-owned apparel. Check it out, man. It's some good. We got some good gear there. So check us out. Shire, any last words?
No, I've said a mouthful.
All right, y'all.
Hope you all have a great and wonderful day, and thanks for rocking with us on the Black, Married, and Debt-Free podcast.
Yeah.